You've done this countless times now, son. Breathe in, breathe out. Keep your aim steady. Make sure you've got a clear shot. To take a life for a righteous purpose is the greatest honor a man can have. You got this. Take the shot.
My life was great. I had my family, my friends. I was part of the football team. Me and my pops. We never knew what disaster was occurring at the time, as we were out in the woods on a hunting trip. 3 or 4 days of no communication. They called it the Knox virus. Info was it started in Kentucky, then spread quick. I won't bloat you with rumor, so I'll keep it at that. All I know was, when we arrived back home, everything had changed. My mother, well, she didn't make it. My father put her to rest, and he didn't take that so well.
We're gonna kill every last one of these freaks. Get in the car.
I tried to reason with him, but he wouldn't listen. He gathered every round we had and went out there. We shot for what happened to be all day, but my father's luck ran out quicker than his ammunition. That day I lost both my parents. I panicked, sat there, watched as my pops got devoured. Did nothing to help, couldn't do nothing, frozen in fear. Worst of all, he arose not so long after, half mangled and deer-eyed. I drove, I left him there, in eternal torment. Now when I think of him, all I see is the last image of him stumbling towards me. I never saw my father's corpse again. Thought of hiring Caron and his coin men, but never mustered the units to do so. Now all I could think of was my friends. Finding them and getting out of here. Drove to the spot by the lake, just by Mrs. Green's. They had to be here. My assumption was right, they'd been here, but someone else had. Came and snatched them up. Had to have been that, had to be. There was no bodies, just evidence of a fight. I tried the fight to keep those horrific images out my head and hope for the best. Promised myself I'd find them and save them if I had to, and I set off to do that. I did. I traveled on. Looking back, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and before long, I found a roadblock. Could have been easy pickings, really. However, they said they were the Kentucky Home Guard. A militia. Something 50 strong. They took my vehicle, my weapons, and offered me a place in their ranks in return for this. Pops didn't pack any supplies other than weapons, so I took tail and accepted. They outfitted me and shoved a gun in my hand. The jobs were simple. Look for survivors, bring them in, kill the undead, and any hostiles and vital points. Guard what needed guarding. Obey orders, don't get bit. Pretty simple. Even made a friend doing all this.
There's news on the radio about a settlement being built in a large open stretch of land right off the I-64. They're imploring everyone who wishes to provide for the future of humanity to relocate there.
What's command said about this?
They're establishing contact. Think our days as a unit are done for. We're stretched thin already, and if we keep going, it's only going to get worse. Seems every renegade group we squash, 2 more take their place. This is hope here. Hope for a new world. And if they hear we passed up a chance of a normal life, the boys, well, there'll be a mutiny on their hands. One's left. He's gonna keep firing. Once he's out, flag him. Don't hesitate. He's out! You should sleep well tonight. You did real good. Putting this dog down saved a lot of lives. Come on.
That man was the first to die by my hands, but he wasn't the last. I was told I should sleep easy, but my mind raced. One of those men who died that day. Pink and Scorn, that's what their names were. Did they have people waiting for them back at their camp? I don't know. But my mind traced over that image, over and over again, as I had squeezed the trigger. After a while, I stopped counting the days. I just started counting the dead comrades. I seen them cause so much death, right and wrong. Well, it just blurred all into one. Then word came in that we located one of the railroad top men. He was holed up in an abandoned farmhouse. Command took this opportunity and we were sent out. By now there was a fraction of us left, no more than 20. So Command reached out to another militia, called the Unity. They were regimented, they were organized, so much so they headquartered themselves in Havenstead, the promised land that was being circled on the wavelengths. And that was that. The farmhouse was won. The railroad boys took out. Cost us 12 men to eradicate the scum. My friend was one of those 12. After that, news came in that the Home Guard was to be integrated into the Unity. We were shipped out within the week. We were individually shoved into a small shack just outside the walls. All of us examined.
Any recent close encounters with the Turned?
Yeah, a few. Been over 5 days now, Herb.
Performing the physical examination, there are no bites. Superficial cuts on the arms and knees, evidence of your prior performance in your militia. Any symptoms? Drowsiness, chills, fever?
I'm exhausted all the time, if that's what you're asking.
Fatigue is to be expected from an individual who is in a caloric deficit performing a high cardio job. You should find rations to be more appropriate in Havenstead. Overall, I'm happy to give you the green light.
The next stage was temptation. All the equipment, food, drink, and essentials laid out on the table, just so you can stare at them. The appropriate training, housing, warmth, most of all, unity. Claimed every soldier inside the Unity was a vital cog. Then came the papers, a 5-year contract, access to Havenstead and all its resources, part of the new world. I signed. Commander Pierce was in line. The Unity was organized. My physical and mental examination deemed me acceptable to be stationed inside Havenstead. I saw no action. I was a keeper of the peace and protector of the walls. Took me months to get back to my physical strength. Just as that happened, I happened to be promoted to level CI2. With this, I was rewarded living quarters inside secure Zone Phoenix, the slums. Some nights, when I toss and turn, I find myself thinking of my friends, wondering what happened to them. Where did they go?
I am the shepherd who leads his flock out from the demons of hell into paradise.